You know, some of you guys were upset at my tone and all the negativity in my videos and stuff like that. I'm going to answer some concerns that you guys have. Some are legitimate because, you know, you're in pain, you suffer, and you hurt. But I just got a voicemail from a guy who said, if you really cared, you would call me back and help. I called this guy, and him and his little brother ganged up on me and started talking mess and were shouting over me, didn't want to talk about anything. And let me just get in the voicemail, and then I'll address and I'll answer and show why we're in the dilemma we're in is because dads are like this Guadalupe guy. I forget his last name. I'll put it in the video. But take a look at this voicemail. And you know, when I was talking to him and I called him back, I told him I got countless people who won in court and I got testimonials. And he admitted he only watched like 4 of my videos and said I'm full of crap and I don't have any help out there. If he just cared to actually get off his ass and look for free videos. Well, let me address this. Let me show you guys this video. Or I mean, let me play this voicemail. Those of you who want to tell him, hey, look, you know what you're talking about, dude. James helped me win or whatever. Feel free. If you don't want to, I'm not looking for anybody to defend me because this guy's an idiot. But this is what's going on in family court. This is the problem. Okay, so I called this Guadalupe guy back and I said, dude, what's your problem? And he started going off and yelling and stuff like that. So I said, that's what the problem is. All you guys are a bunch of whiny ass little bitches and stuff. And so we went back and forth. And he said, I said, first of all, you said, and only women say, this is the first time a guy has ever said this to me. I don't think you got custody. I show my winning court order in my flow page for people to look at. It's under every YouTube video. The link is there. So I show you my winning order. And I have another video where somebody says, oh, I never got custody. I show you my winning order and I go through my docket, and you could actually look it up online and buy any document in my file. And I show you there's never been a modification. There's never been a new order that says parenting plan. And for the next 18 years, it was the same parenting plan. So I had custody of my daughter all that time. So first of all, his entire premise that he doesn't believe I got custody, he's a liar. So that's what crazy baby mama, drama queen, emotional females do. Then he said, the reason why people can't fight is because they don't know the terms. You don't need any terms to know when you write out a declaration saying, I'm a good father, she's crazy, she's a child abuser. So he made up another lie. Most of the time, court cases are based upon declarations and statements, pictures, videos, things like that. And he says they don't know the process. So I get on there and I talk. And I said, look, dude, I'm a 5-star general. He said, where are you getting this from? And why do you think guys are sissies and cowards and all this other stuff? I said, I've watched 25,000 cases and I'm talking about the 99% of guys that quit on their kids. I didn't do it. And hundreds of guys haven't done it. So the very few that are willing to fight are the ones who win. And when the women win, they fight a certain way. When the guys fight a certain way, they give themselves the best chance to get something fair. And this guy said, I did everything I did. And I was like, what did you do? He wouldn't answer me. And then he started saying, you know, let's see, what else did he say? Him and his brother were screaming so loud over me. And I said, can I answer one of your questions? And then I stopped to answer one of his questions. And I said how I had proof. And they just started yelling over me again. I said, you just proved to me that you're acting like a female with female energy. That's the problem with my gender. Emotional reacting. And he kept saying, all your videos are negative. I said, I got countless videos where I'm telling people go through the steps. And then I said, they're like, okay, name one. And I said, my main video with the most views. And when I said main video, they cut me off and said, we watch your main video. There's nothing in it. They thought I meant the main introductory video. I meant the main video with the most views that talks about the best interest of the child. I didn't even get it finished. They didn't want an answer. They're so butthurt. I guess, I don't know if him and his brother also had a custody case, but you know, I go and look up stuff. I find his name because of his phone number. It's easy to find his name. And, you know, he's from Federal Way, Washington, where I've lived part of my life. I grew up there. And, you know, I have a P.O. box there. And they said, you're so full of crap, it doesn't help anybody. Well, I told them, just like in a war, when somebody's scared to go to war and they cry and then they're going to get killed. Or anything in life, if you don't have the energy or effort to go with the skills, it doesn't matter what skills you have. If you have a bunch of skills and you're scared to do something, Like if you can shoot well at the range and then you go out to war and you're scared to even step out on the battlefield, you're not going to kill anybody or defend anything. The main problem is guys being scared and not wanting to fight. So he said they don't know the terms. They don't know how to do it. I said, dude, go watch any of the $50,000 worth of free videos I have on my YouTube channel. He said, I've already watched 4 of your videos and it's all negative bullshit. I got $50,000 worth of videos. I got like 900 videos. I said, which videos did you watch? And then they just started talking over each other and having a circle jerk again. And then you saw him listening and look at what he said in his video. If you cared about helping me, you would call me and give me free information and free answers. Then we talked on the phone. He's like, if you really cared about guys, you would give step-by-step how to do everything. First of all, I can't do that for every single state and Canada and Australia and Europe because it's a little different, the exact steps. But I have some basic free information that people are not even getting from their attorneys. And then he yelled at me and said, I don't got $50,000 to fight this case. I said, you stupid, dumb, airheaded jackass. My whole page is about representing yourself. You could do it yourself. Like, we don't know how to do that. Show us the steps. I said, I got plenty of videos on the steps. And that's where we went into, you know, they said, what's a video? And I said, my main video with the most views. I got a different setting here. I had to jump off because of an emergency situation. But I was talking about explaining to this guy. He didn't want to hear anything. What he wanted was, it was a welfare mentality guy. And this is what happens. Guy spends thousands of dollars, loses in court, doesn't want to spend another dime. He sees a guy who claims that he wins, me. He doesn't even look for proof. And he says, I think you're lying because I don't like your tone because my thin-skinned butthole hurts when you talk about us not fighting. And I did everything I could to fight. And then he said in the same breath, we don't know what we're doing. So he did everything he could, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And then he doesn't have $50,000, and my whole page is about representing yourself. This is what's wrong with my gender. You guys are emotional basket case females. What you need to do is what we ask of women. We ask women to respect us. We actually respect each other. You know, in the huddle, everybody in the New England Patriots huddle that ever had Tom Brady in the huddle could beat up Tom Brady. But you know who was the MFer in charge of that huddle? It was Tom Brady, because he was their leader. Because they knew that he could take them to the promised land in Super Bowl after Super Bowl. So they respected his position, whether or not he could beat them up. And he couldn't. But guys respect position, authority, knowledge. Not feminine guys, though. Some of you pussy-ass bitches, you get on here and you are beat down by the family court system. And this guy was saying, you don't care about father stuff. Like, I've given props and praise to fathers who've done the right thing. I've done a couple videos where, like, you know, I know it's depressing. I know it's overwhelming. I used to cry myself to sleep and tell people, but you gotta go to war. It's like none of you guys ever watched one single David Goggins video, or if you did, you watched one because that hurt your butthole also. It's time for men in America and Western civilization to act like freaking men. Nobody cares about your case. So if I gingerly and lovingly tiptoe through the tulips and give you guys a fake, phony, unrealistic view of the family courts, well, if you do this and you do that, then everything will work out just fine and you'll live happily ever after. No, it's ugly. It's hell. It's war. But you have to have a warrior's mentality, and most of you don't. So those of you who don't, you get pissed off because you're going to lose in court. I'm not here for you. And then the guy said, you know what you do? You say all this negative stuff to get clickbait and to be popular. Another faggoty, numbnuts thing by this, I forget what, Guadalupe guy. Reyes or whatever his last name is. Another faggoty comment. If I wanted to get popular, I would play nice like the tough dad or 50-50 dads or all these dads that are super popular just talking bad about the system and empathizing with fathers. But they're not doing jack shit to help fathers win in court. They're whining and crying, or Mark Ludwig, they're whining and crying about the system and getting popular. See, when you roll with and do people pleasing, you become popular. If you tell the raw, hardcore truth about reality, they'll kill a prophet or somebody speaking the truth. So the guy was saying, the backwards thing. If I wanted to get popular, I wouldn't tell the truth and be blunt. I would lie and be fake and phony and be all nice and flowery and stuff.